10.
Good morning, everyone. This is a panel meeting of the Indiana Arts Commission Advisory Review Panel, convened to review FY24-25 Arts Organization Support Grant Program applications for Region 2. I am Maya Michelson, Executive Director of the Indiana Arts Commission, and today's review panel moderator. Today is April 26, 2023, and it is 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and we are meeting online and streaming live for applicants and the public to observe. Just as a reminder, there is to be no contact between the panel and the audience about the disposition of applications, either before, during, or after the panel meeting. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available upon request. At this time, I'll individually invite each of the panelists and then our IAC regional partner and staff to introduce themselves. Panelists will state their name, occupation, where they're from, and staff will state their title and role. So we'll start with the panel. I'll introduce each of you by your first name, and then you can unmute yourself and tell us who you are and what you do and where you're from. We'll start with Justin.
Thanks, Maya. Hi, I'm Justin Taylor. I'm a city planner. I have a background in landscape architecture, and I also have a strong interest in visual art. I do oil paintings in my free time. So thank you.
Welcome, Justin. Next is Lisa.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, you're good, Lisa.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lisa Miller, and I'm from the Plymouth area, and I'm an attorney that works with nonprofits.
Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
Next is Elisa.
Good morning. My name is Elisa. I'm a senior lecturer professor at Butler University, and I am connecting from the Indianapolis-Carmel area. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Elisa. Next is Durana.
Good morning. I'm Durana Bird, and I am connecting from Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm a recruiter with a bank here, but I was in South Bend for 20 plus years and worked at Ivy Tech. And so I'm excited to be on the panel. So thank you for having me.
Welcome, Durana. And then our final panelist is Jessica.
Hi, my name is Jessica Dennis. I'm the program director at the University of Notre Dame and live in South Bend, Indiana.
Great. Welcome, Jessica. Next is our regional arts partner for Region 2, Kayla.
Hi, I'm Kayla Myers with the Community Foundation of St. Joseph County. I am the program manager and the partner with the IAC for Region 2, as Maya noted. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Kayla. And IAC staff, Suzette.
Hello, everyone. I'm Suzette Hartsfield-Jones, and I am the Contracting and Financial Operations Coordinator at the IAC. Today, I will be tech support for this panel.
Thanks, Suzette. And Andre.
Good morning, everyone. Andre Saxonera, Deputy Director of Operations and Strategic Partnerships. I am here coming to you live from Indianapolis, Indiana. We'll be helping with the Zoom meeting. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Andre. So now we'll begin the panel review, and this is how the process will work. The panel will discuss each application, and the assigned reader will provide a summary of their review before discussion moves to the full panel. Once the panel has completed their discussion, they'll have the opportunity to update their scores. As the panel moderator, I encourage you panelists to be conversational in your discussion. Feel free to ask questions of one another and chime in when you have a thought to add. While we want to be mindful of time and focus on the highlights, I'm also here to ensure that the discussion includes each of the 4 evaluative criteria: organizational excellence, artistic quality, inclusion, diversity, equity, and access, and community engagement. If one of our panelists has a conflict of interest with an application, they'll be placed in the waiting room until we're ready for the next application. And we do have a conflict of interest in this panel, so we will be doing that for this panel review. Are there any questions from our panel before we begin? All right, hearing none, we're going to start. We will start with our first application, which is the acting ensemble. And Jessica, you are the first reader, so whenever you're ready.
Awesome, thank you so much. So for organizational excellence, I thought that the applicant offered a really clear explanation of the many programs and performances they offer throughout the year. There's a clear purpose in the applicant's programming as they work to fill a gap in the community by offering unique theater experiences. I really appreciated the detailed outline of the organization's board committees and the work that they complete, as well as the specific plans for continued financial health. Now, it's clear that the acting ensemble utilizes a lot of volunteer support, which is not always easy to do. And I found its community partnerships pretty impressive as well. One small thing here is for future applications, I might suggest using bullet points in some sections, like when listing out board committees and functions, just to make it a little easier for the reviewers to read. Regarding IDEA, I thought it was great to see that the organization developed an IDEA plan in 2021 and that they're seeing an increase in the diversity of their audience and of volunteers as a result of those efforts. It's clear that by offering a more diverse set of plays, they're able to increase audience diversity and reach a wider range of people in their community. They had two clear long-term IDEA goals. And clearly recognize that diverse leadership is important in order for them to continue to create a responsive programming, but there wasn't a lot of detail about what they might have to change in order to meet their other long-term IDEA goal of reaching adults in living facilities. In addition, the applicant did a good job of describing their audience, but I do wonder if they have any plans to collect any audience demographic information in the future so that they could more accurately track the impact of their IDEA work. That a little bit more with that would have been helpful. Regarding artistic quality, I thought they did a really good job describing their extensive play selection process. It's great to see that their play reading committee uses a rubric to score each potential production and that diversity is included as a selection criteria. It's also good to see that there's an evaluation process that the audience can participate in. I would have been interested in hearing more detail about what is included in that evaluation section and how does that evaluation data then impact their future productions. Regarding community engagement, I thought they did a good job of showcasing how they gathered audience feedback. And I particularly appreciated the example of how new programming, like their live D&D session, was developed directly from audience feedback. Regarding how the applicant and its community partners both benefit from working together, the applicant did a good job of explaining how they would benefit from deeper community engagement, but I thought there could have been a little bit more detail about how their community partners also benefit. And that is my comments.
Great. Thank you, Jessica. So now we'll open it up to the full panel for additional observations, comments on this application. And just feel free to unmute yourself and jump in. You've got additional comments you want to add here.
I think Elisa is unmuted, but we can't hear her.
Lisa, we can't hear you. Thank you, Kayla.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
We can. Thank you. Jump in.
Okay, perfect. So I was looking at the organizational excellence section. Very clear, yes, very detailed, as well as projects developed to elderly community with a lot of potential and all of that. One question I guess I would have would be where the application states that the organization feels a gap in the local arts environment, having a little more descriptive explanation of what the local arts environment and the gap it's actually referring to. I know it would have helped me have a more clear, I guess, picture of what they were referring to. That's a little bit of a prompting the application to be more explanatory, I guess, in that spot. Then under the idea, very rich in its delivery. On the other hand, being open and mindful of other cultures. Personally, I was wondering if there is already a talk, is actually really just a picking the brain of the applicants, of the organization, if there's as a thought, as an idea, if there will be room in the future for foreign language performances involving the Latinx community members and so forth. It was just a thought, basically thinking out loud while reading the application. So if there are talks about that, it would be nice to see that spelled out as well. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Elisa. Rana.
So yes, I just had a comment under idea as well. I see the organization is putting some commitment to furthering the idea, but I would have liked to have seen more detailed examples on how the organization plans to, build that diverse board of directors and what it can do to make, the board of directors more diverse. So I would like to see some specifics in that. That would have helped a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Dorana. Any additional comments on this application? All right, hearing none, I would ask you to take a minute to go into the online system and update your scores for this application. And when you're all done, if you would either give me a digital thumbs up or a physical thumbs up, we'll move on to the next application. Okay. Thanks. Thank you. I think we're about done. And again, if I step out too quickly, you just pull me back, okay? And we can take as much time as we need to update scores. Okay, it looks like we're ready to move on. So our next application is Art 4, and Justin, you are the reader for that application. So whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I'm going to try to keep my comments brief here. So hopefully we can spend time getting feedback from other panelists as well. I thought the application would explain the organization's operations and financial need very well. But I did feel that the mission statement could be refined a little bit more, just to be more concise. I thought the closing comment under community engagement was almost a very great way to sum up the organization's mission. So that was just a little comment there on the application. Under idea, I thought that the offering 10% of the tickets as a pay what you can model seemed to be a great way to increase access for people. I would like to hear a little bit more about efforts to reach out to community members who aren't currently going to shows or anything, community members with ADA issues or language barriers, how the organization's reaching out to those. And I'm sure they are. I would just, in the application, I don't remember seeing a lot of explanation of those efforts. So any surveys or anything like that they're currently undertaking would be helpful to see those explained in the application. Artistic quality. The venue and staff seem like they would create a great production of high quality from the explanation in the application. I would just like to hear maybe a little bit more about mechanisms that are baked into the organization to help maintain that quality over time. So yeah, what mechanisms are in place to select staff members and make sure that quality is maintained over time. And I think I've seen where they were bringing in people from other communities to help consult and maintain the quality, maybe some national input as well. Community engagements. I think I would like to hear more about specific partnerships with other organizations to further enhance community outreach. So Again, they may very well be doing this, but I think having it articulated in the application a little bit more clearly would be helpful.
Great. Thank you, Justin. Now we'll open it up to the full panel. Any additional comments that panelists want to make on this application? Jessica.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is, it was great to read that the applicant was committed to idea work, but I think it would have been helpful to have some additional examples about like specific actions the organization has taken. In addition to the long-term goal was pretty broad, and it wasn't quite clear to me what might need to change in order for the organization to accomplish that goal.
Any additional comments? All right, hearing.
I think that Eliza has another comment. She was just trying to pull it up, it looks like, maybe.
Okay, great. Eliza, whenever you're ready.
Yes, and the scrolling is messing me up. Sorry.
Sorry.
Might be a repeat. It would help under the, and that's the thing, the category, the idea again, to have some data. I think that providing quantitative data really always helps have a visual, because who belongs to the organization sees it and lives it, but who is a reader when that quantitative data is parallel to the wording explanation of what's being done, helps us have a better view and understanding. Not exclusively, but definitely enhances that. That's my comment, I guess.
Thank you. Thanks, Elisa. Additional comments? Okay, I'm scrolling, looking to see if anyone looks like they're wanting to say something. All right. Hearing and seeing no additional comments, I would ask the panel to take a few minutes. Oh, go ahead, Elisa.
Sorry.
No,
again,
please.
I'm trying to scroll.
No.
It also under the last criteria, which is the community engagement comments, it would also doesn't go into the numbering per se, but quantity that it would help to know how less represented groups populations have a way to convey their needs for representation in the choice of production pieces. If they're patrons, obviously already have a way to communicate with the organization, but if they're not patrons, what ways do they have? How can they engage with the organization to pitch in? I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. All right, any additional comments? All right, if not, I would ask the panelists to take some time to finalize their scores in the online system. They would. And just signal that you've done that, and we'll move on. Okay, our next application is the Elkhart Civic Theater, and Lisa, you are the panelist for that one, so whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. With respect to organizational excellence, they provide a nice, clear picture of their activities and include a statement of importance that resonate with me, especially with respect to their creating a sense of belonging or family for their younger participants. Perhaps there it would have been helpful to see a statement as to what the Elkhart Civic Theater's importance to the community at large, or what the niche they would fill for their audience was. But I appreciated what they had to say about the impact on their own participants. With respect to their ability to carry out their functions, their personnel, volunteer, and board base seem well poised to carry out their work. They do provide their budget as well as articulate the financial challenges they faced. If they could just maybe flesh out a little bit their future plans to continue to improve financial status, that would also be helpful. With respect to the IDEA work, it was nice to see that they did incorporate work in the last 5 years, including providing non-traditional casting and inclusive casting. Also that they teamed up with the ASL interpreters to allow better access to the hearing impaired. I thought that was a nice, thoughtful development. Clearly, they're starting to do the work to incorporate IDEA into their organization, and they provide a nice broad statement of their long-term goal with some steps to achieve that. But perhaps if they could provide a little bit greater specificity as to what those steps look like, it will be easier for them to track and appreciate their progress in the future. With respect to artistic equality, they seem to present artistically and educationally complete programming with their main stage productions, youth shows, camps, and special events. It would be helpful maybe if they could provide a little bit more details about the experience and training of their artistic and production directors to further support their response here. And also maybe they use a reading committee, which I think is great, to choose their plays and presentations. If it wasn't clear to me if they use like a specific rubric to evaluate those readings, that would be helpful to know as well. And finally, under community input, they receive input from a variety of sources, and I'm really intrigued by how they audience test some of their plays. Perhaps if they could provide more specific examples or elaborate upon how they use that community input to make specific changes or go in new directions with their programming, that would be really helpful. I was impressed by their extensive group of partners and collaborators, and clearly they're making a great effort to be an integral part of the community which they serve.
Thank you, Lisa. So now we'll open it up to the full panel for some additional comments, observations on the application. So just feel free to unmute yourself and jump in. You have observations on this application.
Under IDEA, I did think that they, started a good opportunity to impact that area. I would like to hear more on how they can overcome the location limitations that they mentioned, and that would enable them to broaden their reach to the Elkhart community. So I would like a little bit more specificity in that area. Seems like that would be a strength. And under the artistic quality, I would like to have the applicants to elaborate on how they carry out education by doing to individuals other than assistant directors and things like that. So on a regular basis, how they're doing that, just a little more specific information. And also I made a comment that it would be great to see some type of programming for adults. They have the summer camp for the younger community. And so something maybe to get, a different group involved.
Okay, thank you, Joanna. Additional comments, Elisa.
Going back to the idea of multi-language, again, I wonder if a multi-language, aside from American Sign Language performance, is part of a current or future talks. That would be under the IDEA, Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, Access category, under the organizational excellence. Out of curiosity, I didn't see numbering about what were the numbers before the COVID formal educational program about the 100 kids and adults every year, and what is their hoped projected number of growth and the action plan to reach such growth. And on one hand, I guess it would help also to know the approximate number of volunteers involved and the number of communities attendees reached by ECT. So you see the kind of impact, how many in the community are benefiting from their artwork. So I think, again, those would be beneficial pieces of information to include. Out of, again, pieces of information that could be included and be helpful to to have an insight of the professional background of their artistic director and the other members who oversee and manage ACT. Again, informational pieces there. For the rest, I don't have other comments. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Elisa. Any additional comments on this application? All right, hearing none, I will ask you to finalize your scores for this application in the online system. Okay, now we'll move on. Our next applicant is the Elkhart County Symphony Association. And Elisa, you are the reader for that application. So whenever you're ready.
Okay. So EXO for short, for Elkhart County, our association, organization, sorry, completed, my view of it is completed in details and with examples and quality data, all the points asked in the application. It's very clear in what they do, their leadership, size of the orchestra, budget, new initiatives and partnerships. Where it reads to engage, educate, and inspire the diverse Elkhart County community, it would be a comment is that it would be useful to break down later in the application the composition of the Elkhart County diversity with its makeup to find correlation between, again, the population and how it's also addressed or reached. Also, it would help to have a breakdown of the composition of the diversity within the orchestra, if applicable. And also to explain why the budget has increased, maybe more in detail. Under the idea category, EXO demonstrates a deep commitment to expanding its services geographically and demographically. And I already mentioned before how it would help to have that breakdown of the composition of ethnicity, diverse ability, its aim at providing more musical experience to young persons who are traditionally being underserved. So illustrating that is, again, very useful. Under artistic quality, the response provided and the description provided illustrate very clearly the ongoing commitment to excellence in the quality of performance, maintaining a good balance between ensemble and individual artistic needs. It is nice to learn about the connection established with local schools for both rehearsals and to solicit ideas, so that ongoing dialogue. It could be beneficial to learn how musicians audition and are selected to become members of the orchestra, frequency of rehearsals that could be gathered, I guess, based on experience, but again, could be handy to and valuable to have it. I wonder, as a comment, if EXO, in order to meet the diversity represented in the audience, possibly multi-ethnic, is hoping to include performances that honor multi-ethnic music and collaborations with foreign artists in residence, including artists in residence, for example, or creating a visitor series in collaboration with Indiana University South Bend, Ivy Tech College, or Bethel College, and so forth. That's just a side comment. As far as community engagement, EXO demonstrate being very intentional in expanding their presence to serve the community and at the same time to involve the community with their work and collaboration. It is evident from their application how they are taking decisions and action to move up the community engagement ladder. And they offer a wide, nice variety of initiatives at the youth level as well. side comment or again, questions that came to my mind while reading the application. If this EXO would be able to establish a scholarship fund to offset the total cost for one or two deserving, talented, motivated, but financially challenged young person to receive quality instrument rental, education for a predetermined time span. They would determine, of course, the characteristic. The selection could happen in collaboration with those local schools that they collaborate with, based on music teachers' recommendations. So that's a side thought that came to my mind while reading the application.
Thank you, Elisa. We'll open it up to the full panel for additional comments on this application.
I think Elsa did a great job summarizing. The only thing I would add is in community engagement. I was curious about the audience survey and how that was administered. I think more detail about how their audience and community input is used would have been helpful.
Okay. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah, I had a similar note on community input. I think I would just want to hear a little bit more detail on how they're reaching out to people who haven't attended events yet.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Justin. Any further comment from the panel? All right, fantastic. Hearing none, I would ask the panel to go ahead and finalize their scores for this application. Okay. Our next application is the Fischoff National Chamber Music Association. And Joanna, you are the reader for that. So whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I did note that the organization is able to carry out its mission with this funding support from a number of sources. And that would be under overall excellence. I would say that it does appear to only target one school in the South Bend School Corporation. So with that in mind, it would be great to see other schools in the area get the same opportunities. And I know that LaSalle Academy is located in an underserved area in the city, but all the students that attend the school are not necessarily from that area. So I think, opening it up may cast a wider net to bring in a different group of students or bring in other students to get the opportunity. So that's how in overall excellence, overall, I thought they did demonstrate very well. And then under idea, I noted that they've put forth an outstanding effort to the idea. I think that adding the diverse board members and ensuring there's good representation there, and also establishing a DEI committee shows real commitment. I had a suggestion of in that area, because I think they're really doing, some great work in that area, developing quarterly workshops held in some of those community group neighborhood venues that they've, indicated in the information would help increase excitement, and it would also bring interest into the music and spotlight of what they're actually already doing. And then I also had an idea. They talked a little bit about HBCU, but perhaps posting an HBCU type of battle of the bands in the area that has the students from the community participating would show kind of how it all could complement and come together. So I think just kind of maybe broadening out some of the activities in some different areas may, increase the idea and strengthen that area. As far as the artistic quality, they have some really been most prestigious and longest running chamber music in the competition in the country is a real commitment and quality to the organization. And I think I just think that they're doing some things in that area that are really positive. Under community engagement, I would love to see the organization get actual feedback from the community members that participate. They did indicate that they do get feedback from the board and community leaders, but it didn't appear that they were going to the people that it would impact the most. So I didn't feel that they were gathering, feedback from the youth that participated, or and obtaining feedback from the community members rather than community board members, or in addition to, would provide a more well-rounded snapshot of the programming that is actually serving the audiences that is actually serving. So those would be just some suggestions on increasing the community engagement in that area.
Right. Thank you, Joanna. Additional comments from the panel? Right.
I'll jump in here.
Yeah, thanks, Jessica.
Just additionally, under community engagement, I thought they did a good job of highlighting the mutually beneficial relationships between their local schools and community partners, and like the musicians that participate. I would love to know like how many students are impacted through their educational partnerships, and if they have any specific data around the participation rates in school music programs, like post engaging with the educational programs. They mentioned that, but I'd love to know if they actually have any data behind that.
Right. Thank you. Additional comments on this application? Okay, hearing none, I'd ask the panelists to finalize their scores. Great. Okay. All right, we will move on to the next application, which is Goshen Theater, Inc. And Jessica, you are the reader for that. So whenever you're ready.
All right. For organizational excellence, I thought the applicant did a good job of clearly stating its primary activities and its goal of being a vibrant community gathering place that can showcase a variety of different art forms. There was a lot of detail about the applicant's organizational structure and how they do have the capacity to provide excellent arts programming in their community. I especially appreciated the straightforward detail regarding their financial situation. Under idea, I thought the applicant did a great job explaining their efforts to deepen idea work and provided several compelling examples of work that they have done in the past. Their long-term idea goal was straightforward, and they were pretty clear about what changes need to be made in order to accomplish that goal. In addition, for artistic quality, I thought they provided a lot of detail about their artistic and educational activities. The only area I thought there that could have been further enhanced is whether there's any process for continuous improvement. For community engagement, I thought they provided a lot of detail about how they gather input, right now through their program and planning committee with the community representation and surveys. And they also shared how that input is used to make programmatic decisions. I think it'd be really interesting to see how the additional data they gather through their strategic planning process will be put into practice in the future. And I also thought they did a good job of providing really concrete examples of how the organization and some of its community partners both benefit from working together.
Thank you, Jessica. So we'll open it to the full panel for any additional comments or observations. Lisa.
I just wanted to, I guess, highlight or make a comment about the well-structured action plan that they decided to embrace and move forward with, that I believe it's demonstrating its benefits. And I guess, obviously, they're relying on promises from such action plan as well. So I think that that was an important move for the organization. And I just wanted to make that comment.
Great, thank you. Other comments from the panel? All right.
I did have one comment. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just have one comment on the under community engagement. I feel like maybe they could put a little more effort into seeing what type of programming his community members are interested in. I mean, they do a lot of programming. I didn't get a real sense that they were kind of talking to the community. They're doing, maybe what the board wants or maybe what specific groups want, but I didn't feel like they were really going to the community to see what they may be interested in. So that was my only comment, and that was under community engagement.
Right. Thank you, Joanna. All right. I would ask you to finalize your scores for this application in the online system. Okay, thanks. Great, thank you. Looks like we're all right. I think we're ready to move on. Our next application is Heartland Artists, and Justin, you are the reader for that application. So whenever you're ready.
Okay. I just wanted to go through some of the stuff that I noticed when I was looking at this application. I thought the role of the staff and the structure of this organization was very well explained in their synopsis of that. I did want to highlight that I thought the work with the chemical addiction in the jail was a great thing that I hadn't seen before, but it makes perfect sense, and I hope that can expand to other communities. Just seems like a great fit. Where they're including those artistic activities for people that are kind of rebuilding their lives. Under idea, I liked that accessibility was included in their mission statement. It seemed like they had a good handle on a lot of those idea principles, and helping drive their whole organization seemed really encouraging. Collaboration with or other organizations to offer free events to the public also seemed like a great way to reach out to the community for people who may not otherwise experience these programs. Under artistic quality, I thought the large number of activities and classes offered was impressive. Despite the organization not receiving funds for a mural project, it was great to hear that they had a dedication to the project and they still saw a value, and they were determined to see that project through to fruition. So I thought that explanation and just showing the determination and the dedication they have to some of these ideas was great. Community outreach. I did like that they mentioned that individual comments were valued in addition to their survey data. And the free studio Friday sounded like another great way to encourage community participation. So thank you.
Thank you, Justin. I'll open it to the full panel. Additional comments on this application?
Yes, thank you. I always kind of a repeat again, but it's also useful to know what kind of system, tools, or styles for feedbacks are used, because it makes quite a difference to know if it's a close-ended questions or open-ended questions, and then what is the follow-up on such feedback, right? And the variety of feedbacks, if it's coming from a multi-system, multi-approach, from electronic versions to through social media, for example, or on paper to make it accessible to passerbys. That is just the styles. And I don't think it's often included, but also have what kind of feedback that is. 10 people, 100, 1,000. That also speaks to the variety of feedbacks, obviously, that the organization might be open to. And this is valid for across board, not just this one organization. Is a comment that really goes across board. It's a suggestion for everyone to implement that when it's not in place already. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Elisa. Additional comments by the panel? I'm scanning those mute buttons to see if anybody. Lisa, jump in.
Oh, I just wanted to, with respect to the IDA portion, it struck me that that the leadership is making an effort to educate themselves about IDA ideas and how to strengthen that within the organization. So I thought that was an impressive and something I hadn't seen before. So I appreciate their seeking out education.
Right. Thank you. Thanks, Lisa. All right. If there are no additional comments or observations on this application, I'd ask the panelists to take a few moments to finalize their scores in the online system. Okay, we are ready to move on to our next application, and that is Main Stage Inc. And Lisa, you are the reader for that, so whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. A Main Stage under organizational excellence, they provide a comprehensive and detailed overview of their activities and purpose, and that detailed description of kind of their production process also demonstrates their inclusiveness and reach to the community. With respect to their statement of their importance, it encompasses their impact on their participants as well as the community at large, which it was nice to see. They seem to have adequate staffing and volunteer base with which to perform their work. They provide a nice budget figure and set forth their challenges for, with respect to finances, including the rising costs associated with theatrical productions. And I appreciate that they address a multifaceted plan for addressing those challenges. Under IDEA, they demonstrate that they're making sure that cost is not a barrier to their participants or audiences, and their outreach to schools seems to have strengthened the diversity and inclusiveness of both their audiences and participants. Perhaps they could provide examples or statistics related to what the underserved populations they are reaching look like, including their audiences and participants. Perhaps they could provide also a kind of a fuller picture of that. And though it seems likely, it's not clear from their application if that programming is also accessible to disabled students. So if they could elaborate on that a bit, that would be helpful. I appreciate their expression of their long-term kind of broad IDEA goal and the future changes they would like to make to achieve it. I wonder if it will be helpful for the organization to also kind of provide a more specific goals with identifiable like specific steps to reach it, just a little bit more specific. I can't talk specificity for that. And with respect to artistic quality, their website really helped provide an idea of what that programming looks like. So there I could tell that the visual representations there really seem to demonstrate that they have a commitment to quality. You could tell that from the website. So maybe if they could also somehow articulate that in the narrative, that would be really great. But the website did a nice job of kind of supporting that. The main stage instructors are all accredited educators, so they seem like they're most likely well qualified to carry out their activities, but it would maybe be helpful to provide a little bit more detail about their specific backgrounds to more fully support that conclusion. And finally, with respect to community input, they do solicit input from their audiences, past and present, as well as cast members and their families, and they also mention feedback from others in the community. I think it would be helpful to maybe clarify like who those others are and how that feedback is actually put into practice. They've developed some nice partnerships and forums for outreach, and it would be lovely to kind of see them maybe deepen and expand upon those relationships as they go forward. That's all I have.
Thank you, Lisa. We'll open it up to the full panel.
I think Lisa provided a great overview. The only thing I would add is I was curious to learn more about how they choose their productions, and then if there's any type of improvement process that they have in place.
Great. I'm not hearing any additional comments, so I would ask the panelists to take a few moments to finalize their scores for this application. Okay, I think we're ready to move on. Our next application is Merrimans Playhouse, Inc. And Lisa, you are the reader for that application, so whenever you're ready.
Can you hear me? Okay. So as far as the Merrimans Playhouse demonstrates to be a small but powerful force in the diffusion, support, and growth of jazz music performance, appreciation, and education area. They demonstrate to be organized, knowledgeable, and capable of running and supporting in their mission in the area. The length of their presence in the area through volunteer work, the budget size and variety of programs speaks to the importance and the need of their work, where they have decided to establish themselves, as well as their success. And that's connected to the kind of feedback that they receive and they have been receiving through the years related to their presence and growth and work. That was under the organizational excellence, under the inclusion, diversity, equity, access score. They do have great presence and involvement in the community at all levels, across ages, races, ethnicity. They're both in their patrons as well as the occasional attendee. They have illustrated how they made changes and how they have not encountered barriers from any social economical background of their guests and patrons in thanks to the warmth that they're able to create with the environment that they provide. So that they illustrated that very well in their application. They made sure to include that in their application responses. Merrimans Playhouse has clear standards and process in place to assure quality of musicianship and programs. So they're strict. My understanding is that it's a targeted structure in order to continue delivering quality. A comment I have about that is I wonder if at some point new individuals who share the exact same philosophy, they're very careful about sticking to their philosophy of the creation of Merriman's House, of the creator, Mary and Stephen, will be included in the vetting process, or if it will be exclusively the two of them to consistently being is this determining and moving forward with the selection process, I guess. And as far as the community engagement, Merriman's Playhouse has extensive and rich programming. It's very present in the community throughout the year. It reaches audiences of all ages. Based on the descriptions, it's highly respected by the area college, academia, and it benefits the musical growth of artists in the art form, which is their mission and their objective. They clearly have become, as per of their statement, as a reference point and a gem for jazz players, while at the same time for jazz music discoverers and aficionados. So they're aiming and seems that they're succeeding in serving the knowledgeable as well as opening the music art genre of jazz to new and making them discover this genre as well. So fulfilling their mission, I guess.
Thank you, Elisa. Now we'll open it to the full panel for additional comments on this application.
Under community engagement, I think they've done a good job outlining some specifics, but it would be nice to see them get a little more community support in different ways, because just to increase maybe attendance. They said they had 32 at a concert. In 2022, their average attendance was 32 at a concert. So what can they do to increase, maybe the marketing, or maybe the plan to get more people involved and to get more people, actually being able to participate and take advantage of this great organization's work. So that would just be something for them to kind of think about moving forward. Just what can they do to do a little differently.
Right. Thank you, Joanna.
Yeah, I'll jump in regarding the community engagement as well. I thought for this section, the applicant provided a lot of detail, so much so that sometimes it was a little difficult for me to find the information specifically requested in the community engagement section. I thought that the listening sessions after each performance do provide a chance for artists and the organizations to receive feedback, but it wasn't clear to me exactly how that input was used.
Great. Thank you, Jessica. Elisa, did you have more to offer? All right. Any additional comments? All right. Hearing none, I would ask the panelists to take a few moments to finalize their scores for this application. Okay, our next application is Musical Arts Indiana, and Joanna, you are the reader for that, so whenever you're ready.
Okay. Just a few comments under the categories. I didn't write or put down a lot, but I did think the organizational excellence of the organization was very clear as it pertains to its primary, activities, the purpose, and the staff of the volunteers. I thought the financial situation seemed to be a little vague, and I didn't see a real clear plan for success in that area. So maybe a little more information about that to strengthen that area would be beneficial to going forth. Under idea, they did a really great effort to embed a variety of different groups into the fabric of their organization, which I was impressed by that. And then also looking at, the circumstances of what's going on in the world and addressing them with productions, that was great. And I was very impressed with that. And I think also that one thing that I thought was really a strong component of this area was that they're actually looking at themselves and their mission statement just to reevaluate if it needs to be changed to make sure that it stays meaningful. And I don't know that a lot of organizations, take the time to do that. So I thought that was a really a strong method or impressive method for them under idea. Under artistic quality, they are doing a good job bringing quality arts and educational performances to its audiences. And then bringing in both public and private students is really inspiring and getting people involved or getting students involved in all walks, from all walks of life. So I think that's amazing. And then as also under this, them being willing to take the time to examine their future growth, reviewing, removing fees to, maybe increase access for people that can't, afford tickets and do some things like that. So just looking at that and still keeping their artistic quality, but addressing that, I think that would enhance the longevity of the organizations because it shows that they're flexible and they're able to change if necessary. And then under community engagement, they provided specific examples of how to taking the data and enhancing it to strengthen their media reach. This, helps, increase participation in the programming. And I also felt they've done some impressive collaborations for diverse groups to participate.
Okay, thank you, Joanna. So we'll open it up to the full panel for additional comments.
I just would like to highlight how the transparency factor was very evident throughout the whole application, and it's definitely an appreciated factor when reading an application, and it was consistently demonstrated. So that I think it's a strong point to their favor. And realistic expectations as well. They stated them clearly and they seem to take them into consideration as well. So,
great. Thank you. Thanks, Elisa. Additional comments? Jessica.
I'd just like to second the strength of their ideas section, and they really clearly articulated their organizational journey with idea work. And I think that their desire to highlight diverse musical works is part of the fabric of their mission rather than just a one-off experience really showcases how seriously they take idea work, and that it's not just a box that they're checking, but really part of their overall mission.
Great. Thank you, Jessica. Additional comments? All right. Hearing none, I will ask the panelists to finalize their scores for this application in the online system. Thank you. Excellent. Great. Thanks. And thank you, Justin. And Joanna, appreciate you. So folks, we're going to take about a 5-minute break. And then we will pick up with our review. So it's 11:07 now. We will reconvene. Let me see, I can do math on Wednesday morning. Maybe we will reconvene at, well, it just turned over to 11:08. So we'll reconvene at 11:13, folks. So we'll see you back at 11:13 and we'll pick up where we left off. See you in a minute. We're just waiting on Durana, and when she rejoins, we'll start. All right, welcome back to our panelists. We will pick up with this panel review with the Patchwork Dance Company. And Jessica, you are the reader for that application. So whenever you're ready.
All right. For organizational excellence, I thought the applicant did a great job of very clearly and succinctly highlighting its primary activities and programs. In addition, there was a lot of information regarding the applicant's operational structure and a pretty solid explanation of their financial situation as well. For IDEA, it was clear to me that a lot of thought has gone into accessibility for audience members across lots of different factors, whether that's location or timing or access, cost. The applicant mentions how IDEA work has strengthened the organization, but some more detail about like the specific kinds of diversity, as well as some data around the different choreographers or music genres or dance styles that they utilize throughout the year would have enhanced this area even further. They had a clear long-term idea goal and detail regarding what might need to be changed in order to accomplish it. It was also clear that the applicant deliberately tries to provide programming to a number of different audiences, including some that are underserved. For artistic quality, I thought it was clear that they were striving for high artistic quality and that the expertise of those involved really did help create an atmosphere of quality performance for both the participants and the audience members. The only area that I thought could have been enhanced is any additional detail about any improvement processes that the organization might have in place. For community engagement, I thought they did a good job of highlighting how they gather audience input and sharing how it was used. I would love to know more about the type of response rates they get in their community surveys. To further enhance this area, it would have been nice to see some examples of how that audience input may have affected future programming decisions. In addition, I thought they did a good job of providing detailed examples of the ways in which their community partners benefit from working together with them.
Thank you, Jessica. So we'll open it up to the full panel for additional comments on this application. Jump in.
I had a couple of comments under the idea component. And I didn't feel they actually clearly stated what they've done to deepen, inclusion, diversity, equity, and access over the past 5 years. I noticed the open auditions and concerts are held in Mishawaka. And so in my thought process, that may allow for, easy access for participants in that area. But participants not in that area, there may be some, difficulties or some barriers there because they'll need to find transportation or take public transportation. So it kind of could cause a problem on, with access in that manner as far as participating. In addition, I thought they did a great job talking about, providing discounted tickets to their holiday concerts and free student ticket with the purchase of 2 adult tickets. I thought that was something that maybe they could look at a little more, because if a family's income deems them to be on a free and reduced program, which they said that's how they kind of evaluated, then paying for tickets may again be a barrier and a challenge. And then the other thing is that I thought in that particular in idea is that maybe enhancing their board with a little more diversity would allow more thought process from different entities, and maybe make some differences in what they're providing or how they're providing it. Providing specific data of the methods used to reach the participants is also something else that I thought might be really effective in moving forward.
Right. Thank you, Durana. Additional comments?
I second Durana's comments. On the other hand, it seems to be a very valuable organization. I would, if I missed a detail, I'm not sure. I apologize if I missed it, but I wasn't sure if Academics in Action as a program is a free service to local school or if it's a paid service. That I might have missed it somewhere. If it's not there, it's a component that could be included. Also thinking out loud of thoughts of some of their concerns as far as performance spaces. If there is an opportunity for agreements with local schools that might have existing theater space to use the stage for free, or offer in exchange some free entrance to the students so that they can use the space and facility while in exchange, obviously making it accessible for very low or no charge for the actual students of such school. Under idea, going back to one of my previous comments, it helps to have a sense of the demographic composition, and if there could be an opportunity to provide data as far as gender, race, ethnicity, and occupation of its members. And I'm not sure also about the numbers of the members per year at PDC. They are open and facilitating performances in respect with the needs, special needs. On the other hand, I thought that could be neat to possibly think in terms of involving special needs in the production itself, if there are talks about that, because that would be still go along the way with the idea principles. And so the audience would see themselves represented as well on stage. That would be nice. And for the last component, the artistic quality, I had a question. If you could explain how the organization could explain how the PDC board of directors is always trying to recruit and include community members of various ages, gender, race, ethnicity, and occupation. What is their process in getting at this objective that they have? So these are my comments. And yeah, I enjoyed reading through their site and their information.
Thank you, Elisa. Other comments? All right, I would ask our panelists to take a few minutes and finalize your scores for this application in the online system. Great. I think we are ready to move on. So we will go to our next application, which is the South Bend Lyric Opera. And Justin, you are the reader for that application. So start whenever you're ready.
Okay, so for organizational excellence, I had a couple comments. It was nice to read about the organization's growth over the years and how it's been able to expand its reach. I noted that I would like to hear more about any plans to increase revenue. They mentioned that the director had to make a personal donation to pay staff, and that was, although that demonstrates a deep dedication that the director has to this organization, it didn't seem sustainable long term if they're having to do that. So I think a little bit more of an explanation of how they're trying to avoid that from happening in the future, or needing to happen in the future. Would be good. It seems for under idea, it seems like this organization is taking steps to identifying what could be improved with idea. So that's really exciting. But I would like to hear more about the steps once the formalized plan is in place, to the steps they're going to take to expand that reach for idea. Artistic quality comments. I noted that tapping into the talent of the surrounding metropolitan areas seemed like a really great way to foster that collaboration and increase quality for the performance, and just have that collaboration between cities seems like a really good thing. Also, the collaboration with the Symphony seemed like a great thing that they highlighted as well. So I was excited to see that. Community engagement. Although the community engagement hasn't been completely formalized, it is clear. I thought it was clearly highlighted from the strategic partners that the organization has, that they're aware of the trajectory that they needed in order to improve that engagement over the coming years. So those are my comments.
Great. Thank you, Justin. Additional comments by the panel?
Oh, hi, if I could jump in. I thought it was kind of nice in a segment where they provided feedback, like direct quotes from their audiences. That just gives a little bit of color to their artistic quality and what they're doing there. So that I appreciated that. They added that. It was kind of fun. But also with respect to the IDEA section, if they again could provide some maybe specific numbers or good educated estimates about who their audience is made up of and who their participants are made up of, that would kind of help them track their work in that section. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
A question that I was left with during the reading was how many members belong to the organization. I guess, again, number if you want, but it always helps quantify. It seems also that despite the young age of the organization, they're definitely seeing growth and relevance and importance in the community. So strong work behind the scenes for sure. And I found refreshing to see how they demonstrated not only to embrace the idea principle as an objective, but rather from its inception to have exemplified that. So it is, again, not a checkbox, but rather as part of the founding principles. And I think that these are my comments.
Great. Thank you, Lisa.
I did have a comment under community engagement as well, in that they're committed to providing engaging programming, but I didn't get a real sense that the community was actually involved in providing input. And I think I noted that in their own words, that's an area that needs work. So I think once they get that piece into this component, it would really become a core piece of the structure, is getting, community, figuring out how to get the community engagement and get the community involved. So I think that would be something that would really strengthen this area.
Thank you. All right. If there are no further comments, I'd ask the panelists to finalize their scores in the online system. Okay, we will move on to our next application, which is the South Bend Youth Symphony Orchestras. Lisa, you're our read.
Thank you. With respect to organizational excellence, I thought the South Bend Youth Symphony Orchestras provides a really helpful statement of their purpose, their financial situation, as well as their organizational capacity. I found the response to Part B about the importance of their organization to be particularly insightful, and really did a nice job of explaining their artistic niche in a well-supported way. I think that they demonstrate that their staffing and board makeup and mechanics really work well to carry out their mission. And with respect to their financial situation, the narrative doesn't provide a budget number, But I think the description they provide here suggests that they are well situated financially, having weathered COVID challenges and rebounding with some strong enrollment and a full new slate of programming. Under IDEA, they provide thoughtful responses relevant to their work there, and they've clearly made considered effort to incorporate IDEA into their organization. They've examined their repertoire and as well as the artists and the composers with whom they work, and really seem to make IDEA a fabric of the organization. I really liked their that creative interdisciplinary Joseph Ballone project. I thought that was pretty creative. I like that their outreach also includes those with disabilities, and they provide nice specific examples of their work. It might be helpful here to maybe provide data related to again, I kind of harp on it, but related to the makeup of their audience and participants and how that reflects or fails to reflect the community as a whole. Under artistic quality, obviously they have well-qualified, dedicated instructors and directors coupled with an articulated quality improvement system, which was nice to see. It supports that conclusion that they are providing a high quality artistic experiences for both its young artists and the audiences. Also, I thought it was pretty exciting. They were the first orchestra to be able to perform the Lord of the Rings Symphony. I think that was pretty cool. They use really great use of details throughout this section, and I appreciated that. With respect to community input, they have developed well-established and mutually beneficial partnerships, and they do invite feedback by various specified methods to help inform their programming and outreach decisions. Perhaps maybe another example here might be useful. And it's exciting to learn that by this engagement with the community, they've kind of received some economic windfalls that will help them to continue to fulfill their mission. And again, here they do a nice job of providing examples and details. And those are my comments.
Thank you, Lisa. Now we'll open it to the full panel.
I'd just like to second some comments on the IDA section. I really appreciated that their long-term idea goal was very actionable, like they had a clear plan for what they want to do moving forward. And I thought that was really strong in this section.
Thank you, Jessica. Additional comments?
In my case, just wondering if it was not provided, but maybe it does exist. And again, I didn't do extra clicks here. If they have a website, because I know they provided their Facebook page and YouTube channels. Just thinking in terms of a landing page that if they have it, I guess it's just a question of thought. Because I always prefer those than additional different sources, for example, and there are parts of the populations who might have the same need. Just thinking.
Okay. Thank you for these comments. I'm not hearing any additionals, so I will ask the panelists to finalize their scores for this application. Okay, it looks like everyone is done. So we will move on to the next application, and that is the Ruth Meir Foundation, Inc. And Elisa, you are the reader, so whenever you're ready. Elisa, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
We can. Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm not sure what happened, but here we are.
Okay, that's all right.
So as far as the Ruthmer Foundation, so they provided in their application under our organizational excellence, very detailed, informative, and clear descriptions of the different opportunities offered to the community, the programs, and data about number of attendees locally and nationally. So that was very informative. A comment I had is that I was wondering if with such substantial assets and budget, there are talks about engaging a part-time CFO or a financial consultant on demand to help protect and grow financially their not-for-profit organization, because again, they seem to have quite a bit of a structure in place and could be a thought. Under IDEA, it's an impressive organization, a lot of history, and yet open to change when and where needed to accommodate a variety of needs. They seem to have a very creative thinking process about opportunities to serve and how to engage with the local and national community. A comment question I have reading the application, I was wondering if the Ruthmer on the road has been brought back from the hiatus due to COVID-19. I don't think I found that information in the application. And point of interest, for point 8C in their application, to help the Latinx community benefit even more from the richness of Ruthmer campus, it might help, unless they already provide the Spanish guided tours, recordings with headphones. For scheduled visit for individuals or groups, an interpreter service could be engaged, or seek docents who are bilingual, volunteers from the fine arts program from nearby universities who are bilingual, and establish a service hour, college credit opportunities for university students. That is, I think they can really promote that Latinx exposure through a variety of systems, and there seems to be a desire to grow in that direction, which is nice to read. As far as artistic quality, all activities are very well described and in detail. They illustrate variety, changes, additions, and growth made through time, evolving and expanding. The people involved are professionals who can guarantee the quality and high standards of service as they aim to not only deliver but maintain, as well as in their programming and execution. So this is my presentation of the Ruthmer.
Hey, thank you, Elisa. So open it up to the full panel for additional comments. Okay, hearing none, I will ask the panel to finalize their scores in the online system. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. All right, it's like we're all in, so I will we'll move on to the next application, and that is the Village, a Community Arts Alliance, Inc. And Joanna, you're the first, you're the reader for that application, so whenever you're ready.
Okay. Under organizational excellence, I thought the organization provided compelling information as it pertains to their purpose. What they are offering is exciting and allows a diverse group of participants to learn from their programs and activities. I thought the mission statement really provided participants with a clear understanding of what the organization is and does. And it's focused on, teaching classes, lessons, workshops, and performances for all individuals was really impactful for me. Under IDEA, they've put a lot of effort and thought into the idea of the organization. They provide access to all individuals throughout the Michiana area, and it opens the doors to, you know, many opportunities to learn and grow and develop a real passion for the arts. They've done several collaborative programs and offered access to the underserved population, as well as maintaining the integrity of what the organization does. So I thought that was really a great statement for them. They're staying true to their mission while constantly changing for the better. And one thing that, you know, I think any organization that is doing well or can always, you know, there's always room for improvement. One thing I noted was that they currently have 33% of the participant population is from underrepresented groups. And I would like to see ways that we can increase that number. And it would also be nice to see how the funding is used to give back to the community. I overall thought that, you know, in this area, it was very thoughtful in this process. And under artistic quality, I think they've done a good job of providing quality programming that's shared with individuals from all backgrounds in the community. And it was, you know, really exciting to learn how they've made a commitment to share their passion and creativity with others. And even though the village charges, you know, for various events, they've also put great effort into ensuring that, you know, not being able to afford the lessons they teach do not stop you from being exposed to it. So I think that's a real key, you know, part of their, what they've built into their artistic quality. And then under community engagement, again, I think they put amazing effort into community input. They're committed to ensuring what they are offering is targeting the needs of the diverse community which they live in. And I felt like they're not only engaged with the community organizations, but they have put special efforts in getting the schools involved, and that opens up a whole wider audience of participants to get excited and learn. So I thought the engagement in the community is well efforted as well.
Okay, thank you, Durana. We'll open it up to the full panel for additional comments.
I would just add under the community engagement section that I really appreciated that they listed out what they specifically collect data on, and it's clear that they use that information in order to further enhance their arts programming.
Yeah. Great, thank you, Jessica. Any other comments on this application? All right, hearing none, I will ask the panelists to go ahead and finalize their scores for this application. It looks like we're ready to move on. So our next application is the United Youth Theater, Inc. And Jessica, you are the reader for this. So whenever you're ready.
Under organizational excellence, I thought the applicant provided a clear explanation of its primary activities and programs and made a pretty compelling case that its services, you know, offering theater productions for children are fulfilling a true need in the community. There's also a good explanation of its operational structure and current financial situation. For the ideas section, I thought the applicant did a good job of recognizing their current strengths in idea work, as well as concrete areas of opportunities to improve, specifically their board composition. I really liked how they highlighted their idea journey across the areas of inclusion, diversity, equity, and access, kind of touching on all four of those. the long-term idea goal the organization would like to accomplish and what might need to change wasn't really clear to me in this section, but they did provide information about diversifying their board and wanting to lower participation fees. So they're clearly thinking about how to improve their idea work moving forward. For artistic quality, I thought the applicant did a good job of highlighting the expertise of their directors and production team members, as well as like explaining how they complete the audition process. There was a lot of detail about the organization's improvement process, and it was really nice to see that the participant and community feedback are included as part of the process. The only area I'm curious to know more about is how they actually select which shows they're going to put on.
Mm-hmm.
For community engagement, I thought it was clear that the applicant has strong community partners that are really essential to putting on this arts programming with their volunteer corps, their patrons. However, I would have liked more detail on how the organization gathers input. Is there any other method than just their website suggestion box? That could be an area of improvement.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Jessica. So we'll open it up to the full panel for any additional comments. All right. Hearing none, I will ask the panelists to finalize their scores for this application. Thank you. Okay, we are ready to move on to the next application, Wild Rose Moon. And we do want to note that we have a conflict of interest for this application with Lisa Miller. So we are going to place Lisa in the magical Zoom waiting room while we discuss this application. And when we are done, we will bring her back. Can I want to, looks like she is out. So the reader for this application is Justin. So Justin, whenever you're ready.
Okay, for me, for organizational excellence, from reading through this, it sounded like a great organization. It sounded like the board was well organized and capable. I would like to hear a little bit more about the selection process for the board and the board members and interns as well. That kind of ties into the idea section. It seems like this organization has a well-rounded approach to idea work. Their description of the deepening the connections with the Latino population and making special accommodations for those with varying income levels all seem like great steps towards inclusion. So that was something I noted from their idea section. Artistic quality. Offering shows with international appeal seemed like a unique experience for visitors. The audio video mentoring programs also seems like a great thing that they offer. But I would, again, I made this note a couple times. I would like to know how the idea concept applies to selecting individuals for those internships for the audio visual training. And I'm sure they have some elements of that, but I would just like to maybe see that articulated a little bit more clearly. Community engagement. It seems like this organization values feedback given by its members, but I think I would like to hear a little bit more about how this organization reaches out to and gets feedback from the community, as well as developing those community partnerships with other organizations. So.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Justin. We'll open it up to the full panel for additional comments.
The only thing I would add under the ideas section, I thought they did a good job of clearly defining their audience across multiple dimensions. But I was just curious if they had any like data regarding their membership or audience demographics that they would be willing to share.
Any additional comments?
Just a comment under artistic quality. I think I would like to know more about, other than the providing high quality equipment, for the interns with the hands-on experience, what, specifically what other educational activities are offered to provide interns with additional experience. So just a little more detail in that, talking about that piece.
Great, thank you, Tarana. Any other feedback from panelists? All right, hearing none, I would ask the panelists to finalize their scores in the online system. And once you've signaled to me that you've done that, we'll bring Lisa back from the Zoom waiting room. Thank you, Justin. Thanks, Joanna, Jessica, Lisa, you're good. All right, we can bring Lisa back. Welcome back, Lisa. And I want to thank all of our panelists for their tremendous work in reviewing these applications. A lot of work went into preparation for this panel discussion today, and I just want to thank them for all their work on behalf of the arts in Indiana. So this concludes the FY24 Arts Organization Support Advisory Review Panel. Applicants will be notified the status of their grant following the IAC June quarterly business meeting. If you have any questions about this process, please contact your regional arts partner, which is Kyla. Thank you everyone for joining and have a great afternoon. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, the stream is ended.